Hello there, welcome to this Q&A session with Stefan from Transitions Lab, which is one of the camps at the Gathering and actually one of the first camps to commit back in, I don't know, earlier this year. So it's been a long, beautiful journey of change and transformation within the camp also. Yeah, welcome Stefan. Why don't we start by maybe you telling us a little bit more about who you are and how you got involved with this initiative?
Brilliant. Yeah. So, hello, everybody. Hi, Audrey. Thanks so much. It's so good to be here. A little bit about myself. I'm gonna try to keep it simple. So, I'm born originally in Costa Rica. I currently live in the city of Prague in the Czech Republic. And sort of like what's funny about life is, you're exactly where you are today, exactly because of where you've been throughout your life. And so, what that's meant for me is as a person with like deep interests in the economy and sustainability and regeneration and activism and art and education. um I've sort of gone through this process of observing what the system has to offer us in terms of how do we actually, oh God, live a life in the future and have a decent life with well-being that we can aspire to, maybe in some pipe dream, even a pension fund. And for many years, I just couldn't find any of those solutions. And so little by little, I started doing my own research, surrounding myself with people um, that had committed most of their lives to developing the systemic solutions that we need for the systemic issues that are what make up the polycrisis today. And so over the past couple of years, I've taken all these different disciplines, as I just mentioned, business, economics, farming, art, education, um, in coalition with other extremely proficient and very smart change makers that are very equally, if not more determined than I to bring about change. And therefore, in that sort of mix and cooking with those folks, we've come up with a delicious recipe for effecting transformational change and transitions within organizations. And so the bottom line, as we in terms of how to bring about transitional and transformational change, is that the best place to make this change is also the hardest, but that's where our mental models are at. What do we think about the world? How do we think about the world? So that's really the hinge in which our offerings at Evolute 6 at the Transitions Labs gathering really begin. And from there, by working with adapting and changing and evolving our mental models to fit the reality that we're experiencing in this planet, is where a huge cascade of benefits begins for entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, investors, finance professionals, broadly change makers towards the regenerative economy, can pick up on in order to bring transformational change within their organizations.
Thank you so much. Without the muting. Yeah, this is, I want to jump on that because it's something that I find particularly interesting about the camp. This idea that you were already working at ecosystemic level. We were just talking about this in the briefing, but obviously the gathering, as everyone I think knows by now, is intending to work at ecosystemic level and to represent this sort of metaphor, if you want, of the ecosystem or this microcosm of the ecosystem. So this really puzzle mosaic that brings in a diversity of camps, meaning backgrounds, different energies, knowledge bases, and so on and so forth. And what I find really fascinating about your camp, the Transitions Lab camp, is that you're already working at this ecosystemic level within the camp, right? So there's another layer there. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about who you're inviting into the camp, first of all, and how there is already this coalition of organizations that will collaborate at that level. What kind of offering you're bringing into the space, and why do you bring this offering into that space specifically, right? Like, what is the gathering bringing to your camp in that context, and how do you plan to, I guess, harness the energy and the momentum that is there in terms of actors, but also harvest some of the knowledge that will be shared in different spaces, with the caveat that there's no program. We don't really know exactly what will be shared, but we know who will be there, and that's already, well, that's the most important. Sorry, there was a lot of questions in one. I can repeat some, or you can break them down as you feel.
Yeah, definitely. I'll break it down. So I'll start off with like who this is for. From rather like a problem standpoint. So what we're seeing is there's organizations, big and small, SMEs, small medium enterprises, all the way to corporates, all the way to, you know, non-governmental organizations or co-ops, um, for many good reasons, are now very deeply concerned with transition, whether it is at the organizational level as a whole, whether it's part of the ecosystems they're within, or even simply individuals within those organizations that see the need to bring transformational change and better align their organization's performance, behavior, outcomes, vision, values, principles, with everything that can be basically broadly put into alignment with a life-affirming or a regenerative economy. So our space, the Transition Lab, is an open innovation space that is tailored for either entrepreneurs that are looking to start up their own businesses, transform their own businesses, own their own businesses, or co-own their own businesses, or intrapreneurs that have this entrepreneurial drive within their organizations and are looking to bring in that change, whether it is at the department that they're in, or at the governance level of the organizations that they are embedded within. And so for these folks, we're bringing in this opportunity. Now, let me say a little bit about what I mean by we. And what I say we, I mean a couple of players. So yes, I'm Stefan, and here I'm representing my organization, Evolute 6, which is the original source for the Transition Labs gathering. As Audrey mentioned, yes, we were one of the earlier folks to commit, and we showed up as Evolute 6. We recognized the importance of staying aligned with working at the ecosystem level. And so we kept the design of the camp open for a while until we were able to really coalesce around working as an ecosystem with other organizations that are supporting us in the design of the camp. So the Transitions Labs camp is its own thing, made up by the players that Evolute 6 as source was able to build relationship with and bring into this value adding mutual exchange relationship to hold the camp. And Evolute 6 as the venture builder, holistic venture builder that we are, brings a lot of the venture building capacity building opportunities and offers, everything from interdevelopmental all the way through to how do we incorporate businesses and manage them, organize them, all the way to like the global and ecosystem levels. How do we interconnect these ecosystems? Our other partners are bringing in other extremely important capabilities in terms of supporting with marketing, helping the entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs get incredible at communicating their initiatives and securing buy-in from the people, the stakeholders that they need to secure. As well as we have an extremely rich ecosystem of facilitators that will be supporting our entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in the design processes during our open innovation spaces. So what that open innovation space actually means and what the camp is actually going to be looking like is the following. So first of all, to say with a caveat that we all want free time at the Transition Labs, and we all want to vibe with other groups. We want to walk around. We don't want to be anchored to any one space. And so we've taken that desire and made it a part of made it a design choice. And so for that reason, our camp will be divided into two sections per day, where in the morning, we're going to come around and coalesce with our project holders, who are the entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that are bringing in some design challenge to bring in transition into their organizations. And we will be holding a dedicated space where we will be exploring their specific design challenges in the morning with the support of our ecosystem of resources and resource-ship, mentorship, advisory support, stewardship, and so on. And so, and this applies, and then the second half of the Transition Labs, which will be taking place in the afternoons, is going to be an open space where participants who did not necessarily have a specific project that they want to hold a spot for are going to be enabled to come in and use the open space methodology as a vehicle to hold dialogue and discovery processes with an emergent community of people that have interests all around the question, and this is really the seminal question of the entire Transition Labs camp, which is how do we build and run wholes and parts of our organizations to become more regenerative as we transition into the new economy. All right. So anybody that has a tangent to this question, a direct inquiry in regards to this question, has ever battled with this question before, will find a lot of value and a lot of opportunity to bring forward their ideas and explore their designs in our camp.
Thank you so much. I was smiling because I was getting excited as you were speaking. Thank you for the clarity in explaining such sort of complex concepts in design. No, first of all, I think it's really clear. I love the fact that you've already designed the invitation into your camp around this question, which is very much aligned with what we do at the ecosystemic level at the gathering. And I love the fact that you're creating a space not just for humans with ideas, let's say entrepreneurs, but also with humans with energy, right? That can jam on ideas. There's a lot of ideas around this in startup studios these days and so on, and it's absolutely fascinating. And I feel like your camp really encompasses a lot of what we want to do with the gathering in the long term. So I see it a bit as the pioneering camp in that matter, which is really creating a space at ecosystemic level again that serves to incubate projects, right? So we have a lot of most actually camp leaders, catalysts, builders are coming to the gathering because they're launching something. This is their chance to launch a new product, to test out an idea, and so on and so forth. And you're really doing that again at a different level within the camp by recreating this even smaller ecosystem. So yeah, absolutely fascinating and super interested and curious to see what will come out of this. My last question is, what do you need? What is your call? Do you need people? Do you need resources? Yeah, what is the call that we're putting out there in the World Wide Web for this video? How can people help you? How can people join?
Definitely. So we're looking for two things. One, passionate change makers that want to come into our camp, and after 4 days of being embedded in an extremely rich and deep and broad ecosystem of economic regenerators, want to come out feeling changed and holding in their hands a design dossier for some project that they want to bring within their organization, whether that looks like a design dossier for a product, for a service, for an entire startup, for a coalition of organizations, an ecosystem, for new governance principles and protocols within their organization, something that they can bring concretely back to their teams and that they can showcase as a concrete step forward that their organizations can then take. Ideally, that can also serve them the double value of being the foundation for pitching ideas and concepts, ventures, changes within their organizations to potential funders, right? So we really want our participants to come when they need a concrete step forward in their journey towards regeneration. And besides that, I mean, we love any support that anybody can offer us in terms of how do we get this out there, getting the word out there. You know, if this is something that's interesting for you and you see that there's value to come into a beautiful space for 4 days with an ecosystem of regenerators and come out with specific, concrete and thoroughly thought out design dossiers for a number of different design challenges that you may be facing within your organization, hit us up, share our posts, give us a like, share this in person. Word of mouth is always the most powerful. I'm super open to talking with folks, so like if it serves you and you want to book a call with me and get a little taste of more, then feel free to do that. I'm more than happy to offer my time for that. And I guess as a third point, I guess like good luck, right? I mean, anything that happens between here and there is very much welcome. We love working with emergence. We're very open to that. We're very adaptable. So always keeping our minds and our hearts open for whatever the universe may put before us that we didn't even ask for. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll put maybe the link to your Calendly or your
Mhm.
contact in the comment section. And yeah, just to close, I really love I'm thinking a lot these days about the dimensionality, right, of the gathering and what we're doing. And I love the fact that you're going so much in depth in your camp, but that the camp being part of the gathering of tribes really gives it the width, right? And so to add to what you were saying, there is for me there an invitation to go in depth into your project, into your ideas, or into finding an ideas, and into embedding really those principles of doing something differently, while also being exposed to such a rich diversity of humans and ideas and projects in that space, right? And I love the fact that you've designed the program in your camp really with this in mind, right? Like having this time in the morning for deep focus and collaboration, and then this time in the afternoon that maybe is probably a little bit more open, right? And ready for, as you're saying, emergence. So, so very cool. Thank you for that. Any last words before we close?
I'm super excited to be there with everybody. I mean, this is really a baby we're very excited about raising. And, this, without saying too much and giving too much away, I will say this is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. And if you decide to come to our Transition Labs camp, then you're gonna realize that this is a way bigger iceberg that is probably maybe even holding Atlantis somewhere in there. So if that excites you and you think that there's a larger community out there that you might want to be a part of, um, and walk together this really complex and difficult path of changing the world, then let's talk. We definitely should.
Thank you. That's a hell of a line of promotion. Amazing. Thank you so much, Stefan. This was so good. Everyone who watches this video, follow the links in the comment section or the caption wherever you find it. And looking forward to seeing you all at the gathering September 11th to 15th in North Portugal in a very beautiful, lush land.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.